Some folks don't entirely disappear from your life. They simply move away till your heart is ready to see them once more. Your heart may already be aware of something your intellect is catching up to if one term continues to feel kind rather than hurtful. Not all farewells were intended to shut doors. Some were designed to keep it safe. Your soul gets ready long before someone who is destined to return shows up. You no longer miss them as much as you once did. You recall them as you have to. Some connections don't come back loudly, so stick with me. When you're finally ready, they come back in silence. Inhale slowly. Take a moment to calm your heart. You shouldn't watch this video lightly. It's an emotional video. Some people gently disappear from your life and become part of the past. Then there are others who depart yet never really go. Regardless of how much time goes by. Regardless of how much you heal. Regardless of how many new chapters you start. They are still incomplete in some way. You don't consider them on a daily basis. However, it feels different, softer, deeper, and more familiar when you do. This is due to the fact that some connections are not intended to be deleted. They are supposed to be realigned. There are no obvious signals when someone is supposed to return to your life. They mumble. They do it again. They hold off until you're prepared to notice. And when the time is right, life starts to gently move in their way once more. When someone is returning on purpose rather than just at random, there are 7 telltale signals. Sign 1, when your heart remains silent, they keep coming back to you. Not when you're occupied. Not while you're preoccupied. But when, at last, everything within of you becomes motionless. They come back in the peaceful times, late at night, early in the morning, or during unplanned pauses. Not very loudly. Not in a big way. Just a little bit. Like a presence that never requested to be allowed to remain. Why now, you might ask. After healing, why? Why after all this time? Why did you think you were finished? That is the sign's intrigue. Someone who is destined to return to your life does not appear in disarray. They arrive in a composed manner. After the desperation in your heart has subsided. When the bleeding from your wounds has stopped. When you're at last resilient enough to remember them without crumbling. It's not a case of longing. It's acknowledgement. You're not being asked to pursue them by your heart. It's requesting that you pay attention. Because memories that come back pain-free do not attempt to reopen scars. They are making sure the door is unlocked. And whether it feels different to think about them today than it did in the past. Softer. More lucid. More realistic. It's not a coincidence. That is the initial indication. It's not because you miss them that some people come back to your mind. However, it's because you're at last prepared for your new selves. Sign 2, they are always surrounded by tiny, implausible coincidences. You're not looking for them. You're not requesting signs from the cosmos. Nevertheless, they continue to show up. In discussions unrelated to them, their name comes up. A music brings back memories of moments you thought you had forgotten. A location. A date. Suddenly, a seemingly unrelated detail brings them back. Gentle. Relentlessly. These are not noisy wonders. These alignments are silent. Reality begins to nudge you rather than push you when someone is destined to return to your life. Not enough to make you feel overwhelmed. It's odd that it's just enough to make you stop and consider. And it's not that they show up that's unusual. When they do, it seems so natural. Anxiety no longer causes your heart to race. It no longer hurts as much as it used to. It just observes. That is crucial. Because you're not supposed to be pulled back by coincidences that happen when you're at ease. They are intended to assess your preparedness. They pose a single, silent query. Can you now maintain this connection in a different way? Patterns are not repeated in life to ensnare you. To determine whether you've changed, it repeats them. If the reminders are pleasant rather than unpleasant. If they arouse interest rather than dread. That indicates that the connection isn't haphazardly returning. It's being brought back. Take caution. Purposefully. And promptly. Sign 3, understanding has replaced the agony associated with them. At one point, it was painful to think about them. Your chest constricted. Your mind raced. Before memories, your heart recalled wounds. It's different now, though. The way the agony stings has changed. What was previously sharp is now calm. What was once heavy is now reflective. It wasn't an accidental change. The anguish associated with someone who is destined to return to your life changes before they do. Instead of repeating what went wrong, you begin to see why it occurred. The rage subsides. The blame becomes less intense. And clarity takes its place. You don't justify the past. You get it. Growth is that. Why did this pain me? Is no longer a question in your heart. What did I learn from this? It asks. And everything is altered by that question. It's an indication that your heart has healed enough to see them again if you can think about them today without wanting an apology, desiring closure, or wishing things were different. The person you have become, not the person you were. Only when both souls are able to enter without reopening previous wounds does re-entry occur. Additionally, if the memory is now serene, it can be setting the stage for something new. Sign 4. You are no longer attempting to influence the result with them. Answers, a message, a sign, a clear conclusion, or a clear return were all desirable at one point. However, you no longer pursue either. You are no longer attempting to compel a reunion. You are also no longer terrified of one. You no longer have to worry about if or how they return. And that change is crucial. Control vanishes before connection reappears when someone is destined to return to your life. The future no longer holds your heart. You cease practicing hypothetical discussions. With time, you cease negotiating. Rather, you have faith. In the sense of permitting, not in the sense of waiting. You've come to terms with the fact that it will be honest if they come back. You'll remain whole even if they don't. That neutrality does not equate to apathy. It's preparedness. Because genuine alignment is not the result of intense desire. It results from having the capacity to accept it without losing oneself. It's not an emotional detachment if you can picture them coming back into your life without pressure, anxiety, or expectations. Emotional maturity is that. Furthermore, genuine reconnections enter through maturity. Sign 5. The idea of meeting them again makes you feel at ease rather than nervous. Take a time to picture this. You abruptly run into them. Or they send you an unexpected message. Or you see their name on your phone once more. And you feel at ease rather than anxious, with your heart pounding or your chest constricting. You don't realize how important that serenity is. The idea of someone who is not supposed to be back in your life causes uneasiness. Your body prepares for discomfort. Defenses are prepared in your head. Your heart recalls injuries. However, your nervous system relaxes first when someone is supposed to return. You don't have to practice your speech. You don't feel the need to defend yourself or impress others. You just feel stable. That does not imply that you are desperate to get them back. It indicates that your heart now has faith in itself. The body uses calm to communicate that there is no longer any risk. And that's crucial. Since genuine reconnections don't start with intensity. They start with security. It's not emotional attachment if the thought of meeting them again makes you feel grounded rather than overwhelmed, and if your heart feels open rather than guarded. That's preparedness. Excitement isn't always the best indicator. It is tranquility. Make a sixth sign. The person who let them go is no longer you. This is a subtle sign. But strong. You've evolved. You no longer have the same dread of losing them. There was a reason for that growth. People seldom return in life until you're resilient enough to encounter them without losing yourself once more. Until you are able to make deliberate decisions rather than impulsive ones. Until you are able to love without losing your identity. If you feel that you would act, talk, listen, and love in a different way now, that goes beyond maturity. That's getting ready. Sometimes the reason someone hasn't come back yet is because you're still developing into the right person to accept them. Sign 7. You are prepared to treat people as equals rather than as necessities. The most telling and quietest sign is this one. You don't think they'll be able to save you anymore. You no longer consider them to be the last component of your pleasure. They are not necessary to fill a void in your life. Rather, you feel complete. And something changes as a result of that totality. You feel prepared to face them head-on. Soul to soul out of choice, not heart to heart out of desire. They don't have to reassure you to feel safe. To prove your value, you don't require their return. That's crucial because when one person is waiting to be finished, genuine reconnections don't occur. They occur when both parties show up whole, capable of giving rather than grasping. If they were to come back into your life right now, it wouldn't be to make things right. It would be to construct something sincere. You think you can say yes. And equally able to refuse. In any case, you have faith in yourself. It is uncommon to find such equilibrium. And that's precisely what allows for reconnection. Because love doesn't come back as a rescue when it does. It returns as a gathering. And the last indication is whether you sense that calm preparedness, free from panic and urgency. You are no longer waiting. You're free. Have faith that it wasn't a coincidence if you watched this video through to the very end. Certain messages only reach us when we're prepared to hear them. Not everyone who departs is destined to come back. However, people who are supposed to return do not return to pandemonium. They return to lucidity. If someone has been gently circling your heart without causing you anguish, despair, or exhausting longing, perhaps it's because you can now plainly identify them because your heart has healed enough. Re-entry is not about going back in time. It's about reuniting with wisdom. You've already won something more significant regardless of whether they return tomorrow, months from now, or never. You. Take a moment to put this in the comments before you depart. Allow it to return softly if it is meant to. Or write, "I'm ready, no matter what," if this message made you feel at ease. Who returns isn't always the true indicator. It's the person you've become. Tell me, do you sense it as well? I appreciate you finally remaining with me. For more videos that alter your perspective, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Because with your love and support, this channel will expand. Many thanks.